the High Senior Mega 5 EST Bass Plus Edition. Let's talk about it. Now this is a 5-driver IEM, a single bass, 2 balanced armatures, and 2 EST drivers, which typically come in pairs. It costs $600. Now, I know some of you might think, and you might have seen this review on my channel before, you kind of have. I kind of got a custom tune to this not too long ago, and then sold it to a guy in my Discord server. And so all of a sudden we have back this IEM here. Yes, I rebought it when the new version came out, and we are going to get into this review. I did make that video private for a while just because I wanted to kind of talk about this on my own rights when I got the new one in, but I've now made that live and I will share that at the end of this video. Yes, I know you feel like you have seen this before, and yes, in many ways you have. So without further ado, let's get into take 2. 5 months later in the hobby. Let's go. Now the fit and comfort of this IEM, it's fair. It has a nice metallic nozzle with a nice grate on it. It has a nice wing to it. It is light, it is comfortable. It doesn't super isolate well, but it is small and it has good airflow, which is really nice for me. There's no real faults with this shell design. I think it's fantastic and I have no problems with it. The included accessories are a little bit different. We do have a 3.5 cable, the 4.4 adapter, an additional cable, and some ear tips. Nothing too exciting. Now the cable isn't too exciting either, but it's a 3.5 termination cable. Now it does have a nice Y split. You can see it here. The chin slider, just like the original one, it kind of is loose and it kind of slides all over the place. So if you need a chin slider, this isn't for you. I do find this cable to be comfortable. It does have right and left hooks that you can kind of see here. You can tell which one it is. And it's overall a plush, good quality cable that I have no problems recommending or using. Now the case is different. This is a new case they came out with recently or about the same time I put my order in. Now it's kind of a leatherette case. It has a nice little snap here on here. It says Phoebos, which is feel the beauty of music or something like that. It's a nice leatherette case. It's practical. It's simple. I like it. So how does this IEM sound? Bassy, thumpy, rich. It has a good, solid tune to it, and I like it a great deal. There's a lot of bonuses to this IEM. It has nice drivers, good details on the top, and good note weight and mids as well. It does a lot of things really, really well, and I'm a big fan of it. Let's look at some graphs, and then we'll kind of go from there. Let's look at this graph. You'll notice it has quite a bit of bass. It is a very nice overall appearance. I just watched my video and I did a lot of comparisons in that video, so I'm going to try to do some different comparisons with this video instead. So as you notice, it does have fairly clean mids, good rising bass shelf, nice upper mids, and a lot of other good qualities to it. It's a nice overall IEM and it fits the target very well. Let's look at a few others. Now this is the original JDIS custom tuned IEMs versus mine. The blue one is the one that we're currently reviewing today. The green one is the one reviewed before. I mean, you'll notice maybe a slight differences in the driver. I don't want to 100% confirm that, but I did want to show you that they're very, very similar, like almost to the point where if someone told me they were the same IEM, I would say yes, they are. So that's just something to kind of note, and I wanted to share with you there. Now, I wanted to talk about the High Senior Mega 5 EST. A lot of people have it. A lot of people are selling it on the used market. Now, the original High Senior Mega 5 EST, it's interesting. You can actually chuck on an impedance adapter, and you will get this additional bass shelf. So if you have a Mega 5 EST and you want to just kind of mess around with it, adding an impedance adapter is not too terrible of a thing to do. That it might be worth it to you to just try that, and that's easier to do than EQ, and it's a little bit more simple. I just kind of wanted to point that out with the Mega 5 EST. You'll notice it's basically the same, and you guessed it, with more bass. So let's look at a few others. Now, I had this out, I actually talked about this in my video, but the Kiwi Ears 4. You'll notice they do have a lot of that same upper mids trend, and the Kiwi Ears 4, I don't think it's as refined or good as the Mega 5 EST. I think it's kind of middling, but it's an okay, boring IEM if you're looking at a boring Clearwater IEM. It's a really solid little set, and music does sound good on it, and it is only $150 to $200 depending on what you want. Personally, I like the High Senior Mega 5 EST bass. I feel like it just has a little bit more dynamics and just a little bit more fun. We're not talking like 25 dB. We're just talking about 4 or 5 right here. A little bit of difference in the air region. But to me, the Mega 5 EST bass is a much superior set, and I like it a great deal. I wanted to talk about a different IEM. Another one is called the Kiwi Ears HBB Punch. Now, I do not have one. I have been promised to get one here pretty soon. When I do, I will give a solid review. I did want to show you a few of the graphs really quick. This is from a buddy of mine, actually, Amigo. I met him on Reddit like almost a year ago before he even started YouTubing. And he's on my Discord server. He's a great guy. If you guys want to join the Discord server, he's there, and he has both of these, and he's working on those. His channel is really popping off, and he's doing really good work. And I think it's really great for the hobby when you have someone like Omar from Amigo Audio Reviews, coming up. I love to see it when we have new creators out there in this hobby. So you can kind of see the trend is here. The punch just has a little bit more lower sub bass and a little bit more of this air region, a little bit more differences. So it's hard to say how they would sound, but I would guess they would, the punch would be a little bit more U-shaped. You'll notice the same trends here on HBB's graph. Also, you have it on Elise Audio. They have also graphed this. You notice this is the exact same trends here. The Mega 5 EST, I want to say the Retune is the one they're talking about. But you'll just see that. I think that's it, but it gives you still kind of an idea of what the punch might be like. But again, I'll compare that when and if I do get a punch. We'll go from there. Now, this is an expensive IEM. For me, there's some faults to it. Like, it does have quite a bit of bass. It doesn't have quite enough 1.5K, a little bit less upper mids that I might want, but it's a good choice and it's a solid set. I really like the Donna Quattro if that's kind of what you're looking for, as a bassy fun set. I think it works really quite well, and it might be something good to go with. Another one to look at, this is something that wasn't out when the last video came out, is the Dunu Braindance. You'll notice the green is the normal, and it doesn't really have a ton of bass, but you can throw an impedance adapter on it, and that really becomes a fantastic set. For me, if you're looking at these two, it's nice to have, I think this set overall would take my pick. I think it has better treble. I think it has better details, and when you throw on that impedance adapter, it's just whammy. It's so good, and it would get my vote over the Mega 5 EST bass. Not looking at price or not looking at anything else. It's not to say that the High Senior Mega 5 bass is a bad set, because if you're looking for a bad bassy set, this actually could be better for you. But when you're spending $600, sometimes you can really it really opens up a lot of different things that you could go for, and something like the Braindance has just been, with the impedance adapter and or without it, it's just a fantastic set and something to kind of think about and consider. Another one to consider is the Sopthera Studio 4. Now, I haven't heard this until recently. I got the new Starry Night version, the blue one. And you can notice that the upper mids are pretty much the same. It's all just about this 200 a heap. This has a ton more bass, but the Studio 4, you might like that little bit more laid back bass. It might come across a little bit cleaner and airier, and I think there's certain songs like female vocals and certain tracks that will come across less husky and a little bit better for people. And the Studio 4 you can get around for about $350. So I do think it is a competitive IEM to look at if that is something if you're really looking for a good set and bass isn't that super important to you. Definitely something to look at. Another one, if you are spending a lot of money, I really like the Cantor. I think it's fantastic. I think it has kind of a little bit more clean bass, a little bit more like, I don't know, it's just a little bit more chill. It has a lot of details up in there's upper mid treble region, but it's not super crazy. And I just think it's a nice overall set and a nice overall tuning. It does some things in the air, so its air and detail is just really nice. And you know, the Cantor is maybe $100 more on sale, and you might be able to find it cheaper in the used market. It's just to kind of show you what kind of IEMs you can really go for. You have just so many choices at this semi-expensive level to consider. Another one I got to experience not too long ago is the Limeers Terra. Big fan of this guy. Totally the opposite kind of tuning. You take this region, you lower it up. You take this region and boil it down. If you're worried about the Mega 5 EST bass being too bassy, which it could be, if the Mega 5 EST was a little bit too boring, something like the Limeers Terra could be kind of that fits the middle. It could be a little bit bright for some, but for me, I really like the Terra and just think it's a really fantastic IEM. It is $1,200, but again, you know, sometimes you gotta just look at things regardless of price. Now, overall, I do think, you know, the Mega 5 EST bass could use some EQ. This is what I'd EQ. I'd probably EQ some of this bass around, give myself a little bit more lift here. But to say that it's a bad set, no. This is a fantastic set with great drivers that's doing a great deal of a lot of beautiful things. And it's always okay to try some EQ on some IEMs. You might like it better, you might like it worse, but always just feel free to experiment and try different things. All right, the High Senior Mega 5 EST Bass Plus. Good IEM, really solid. I think it's very competitive versus a lot of other IEMs. It feels like it doesn't have as much treble as I would want an IEM to have now that I've experienced a little bit more treble sets. And I do think, you know, that much bass isn't going to be for everybody, but on the right tracks when it hits, it is absolutely outstanding and a phenomenal experience to those people that are looking for a set like this. I really like the bass. I think the mids could be a little bit more lifted up, and I think the highs are really pristine and good. I think sometimes the amount of bass that it has can mess a little bit with its imaging, but overall, it's just really fantastic, and I really enjoy it, and it deserves its spot as a solid, strong S. The High Senior Mega 5 EST bass. It does a lot of things right. It sounds fantastic and has a neutral appearance, but it also has enough sub bass to really come across and be super fun. I think this is a fantastic set. I really like it. Are you gonna like it? I don't know. I recommend that you try some EQ and maybe experience some things out before you buy it. It's an expensive set. I like mine a lot, and I think it presents good value in comparison to a lot of other sets in this hobby. It's a crazy hobby with lots of IEMs coming up all the way to the $6,000 IEM, the Chronicle, which I reviewed recently on channel. So it's hard to always find value in a market like this, but an IEM like this, it's just something that's good and super fun. Thanks for watching. At the end of the credits, I will be sharing my old video of the Jaytis Tuned Edition if those want to check it out. Also, that video is now live again for anyone who wants to see it. Again, thanks again for watching all the way to the end, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!
The Mega 5 EST base. Let's talk about it. Sorry for the theatrics, but this is an important IEM to me, so we're going to talk a little bit about the history of JTIS and how I came to my preference target and how I kind of came to this IEM, and talk a little bit about this IEM. First of all, the other day we talked about what JTIS is, and it's basically based on a D&D character of mine from when I was a kid, about 30 years ago. He's a Drow Ranger. Here's a couple of my other characters from D&D Beyond, just to show some cred, but that's a little bit of the history of the channel. So let's talk more about this IEM. What is this IEM? Well, first of all, it's a custom IEM that's very expensive. I got a nice discount from High Senior of about 5% as a new user, but anyone can get that discount, not just me. So why is this one of my favorite IEMs under 1,000? Let's get into it. Now, these shells are custom. It's supposed to be the red one. The one on the left is red and really, really red, and the one on the right is blue. But in certain lights, the one on the right does look red, so I'm a little bit disappointed about the color, but it's not a massive deal. I still like the coloring of this faceplate, and it is custom. These are the ear tips. Nothing too special. And the case, it is kind of your standard Pelican case. It also comes with the High Senior Mega 5 EST. So, you know, there's the packaging. Nothing too fancy, nothing too extravagant. Let's look at the cable. I think the cable is a little bit lackluster. It's not too exciting. It's basically the same kind of 2-wire thick cable that you'll see on some IEMs like the awful Explorer. I mean, the cable's nice. It feels nice on the skin, but it's like single wire, so it doesn't have a lot of plush feeling to it. It's kind of slightly stiff. Its chin slider is just sliding all the way around, and you know, it's kind of sturdy, but not nearly what I would want it to be. And let's look at the shell. The shell is nice and kind of a small size. It's not a perfect shell, but it is a nice shell. It has a nice little ring on it. Its design is custom, so for me, it's my own design, which I think is kind of cool. And it has a nice wing and lip around it, so putting ear tips on this is very easy. So this IEM, what is it? Why is it special? I'm going to talk a little bit about my audio journey and why I think this is an awesome IEM, and we'll kind of go from there. So I often show my ranking list when I do videos, and this is kind of something different. This is my headphone list. For a long time, I was kind of a headphone guru and a headphone nut. I loved headphones, and that was kind of my thing. But I forget where it was. I want to say it was this video from Precog during the headphone show, and he kind of talked about why IEMs kind of present an amazing value. And they started to interest me as someone who really wants to have a good closeback, but every time I try a closeback, they're always terrible, muffled, and poor. I find even the best closebacks are about as good as maybe a $200 or $300 IEM. They just don't have it. Now, granted, it doesn't sit on your ears or in your ear canal, which can be a benefit, but the need for isolation in your sound is something that I need in my life. So it becomes kind of a challenge as I looked for something. So I started looking at IEMs rather than headphones. This is the graph of the Mega 5 EST. I could talk about it for a while, but we're going to keep it kind of simple. Why do I like it? Really pristine, precise upper mids. Really nice bass shelf. Very reasonable price considering the drivers, considering that it's custom. And, you know, and there's some nice things to be said about this as a value proposition for what I like. So as we look at this, you'll notice it is close to my target, but not exactly. My target's kind of based on the Annihilator, kind of based on the JM1, and kind of mid between that, kind of where I find IEMs to work for me and for my ear canal. So let's look at a few other IEMs and kind of talk about how I kind of came across to this journey of considering this to be one of my favorite IEMs. First one I want to talk about is the Hexa. Now, I bought the Hexa when I owned the Theaudio Oracle Mark II. I was a big follower of Zeos. And Zeos was huge on the Oracle Mark II, and I thought it was fantastic. And I thought, wow, all these other guys like the Oracle Mark I. Obviously, the Oracle Mark II is going to be better. That's not always the case. I thought it was good, but when I started experiencing something like the $70 Hexa, it got me to really realize how little sometimes you have to spend on money. And my ideal and desire to have and own more IEMs has slowly kind of increased over the past few years. So I wanted to show you, because I happen to have the Oracle Mark II graphed, I wanted to show you what the Hexa looks like. I mean, I like the base of the Oracle, but I did notice that the upper mids were way too sparkly, and the Hexa just kind of has that right, nice, natural feeling of upper mids, and I think it's a really great approach to upper mids that I fully enjoy. Is it perfect? No, but it does a lot of things well and opens the IEM up to what we want to call technicalities and detail and a little bit of air, and it's just kind of a nice, airy presentation that's fun. So the hunt was on for a better IEM. We went to some other things. The next one I looked at is, I got to go to CanJam 2023, demoed a bunch of IEMs, and some of my favorites, the Fat Frequency Grand Maestro, and also this guy, the Elysian Acoustics Annihilator 2023. You'll notice it's very close to my target. You'll notice that the Mega 5 EST bass is very close in the bass to where the Annihilator is, and it's a really quite impressive set. But that's kind of where I went from there. But the problem is that this IEM is expensive, and so I'm trying to experiment and try to figure out a few things, for the hobby and just for curiosity of, can we get this sound quality for cheaper? So, I went on, lived my life, tried a few IEMs, did a few IEM reviews, and, then we got the Chopin. I really liked the Chopin. The Chopin really kind of led me to believe that, IEMs could be cheap, but the Chopin has some minor issues. It had nice bass, it has nice upper mids, but everything wasn't perfect. There were some minor issues with the Chopin, but it's still one of my favorite $200 IEMs. I still consider it a benchmark and well worth the price. So let's look at a few others and talk about what went on from there. I've heard of the Mega 5 EST. A lot of people were talking about it, and all of a sudden it became the rage of headphones.com. Notice how it's kind of coming back here. And a couple of the reviewers did a written article about it, talking about how great it was. Now, for me, I get why people like the Mega 5 EST, but it lacked something. It lacked bass. It lacked excitement. The Mega 5 EST itself can be considered to be like clean water. You listen to it, you hear lots of detail, you hear lots of sparkle, but it's uninspiring. It doesn't give a good sense of space or air around you. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of dull. And for me, when I don't hear good bass, that tonality of an IEM doesn't come across right. Like, if we normalize this at, say, 80 hertz, just for curiosity's sake, like what happens here is that, like, you'll get IEMs that'll come across maybe really a little bit too sparkly or a little bit too much. And so that's kind of my problem that happens. Like this for me is a really important region, and like if the bass of an IEM isn't right, it just feels really strange to me. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that like that bass level for me is really important. So I have to raise the bass level to a certain point, and then if the upper mids get too much, it's something that can ruin an IEM for me and ruin kind of the flair and experience of an IEM for me, and that's kind of problematic. So as time went on, we got the Theaudio Hype 4. Again, I like the Hype 4. I think it's good. I think it lacks some bass. It has a little bit of blandness. Its upper treble and air and sparkle, I think, are okay for the price, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Although I really can see how people would like it, and I think it gives you that mega tuning for cheaper. I do have another mega tuned IEM that I just got in from Kiwi Ears. I think I'll be sharing with you guys probably this weekend. But there are a lot of other IEMs out there. So as we went on, I decided, after I watched HBB's video on the Mega 5 EST bass, I decided to go and order one myself. During that kind of time, we've had the Dyna Quattro come out, and Dyna Quattro has been a really good IEM, and it's something that I consider really good. It hit that target of really nice bass, really upper mids. It's a little bit V-shaped, very hard to drive, but I still think it's a great IEM and something to consider. This really is kind of about as close as my tuning as I've been able to find, and I think it's a really quality, fantastic IEM. So this kind of led me, and then recently I reviewed the Theaudio Oracle Mark III, and I want to say it was actually right around that time I decided, this just wasn't what I wanted. And then I heard of the bass, and it kind of happened, kind of right around the time that Dyna Quattro and right around the Oracle Mark III kind of came out. That Mega 5 EST bass video came out, and about 8 weeks ago, I went ahead and ordered my Mega 5 EST bass. Now, my process with the Mega 5 EST bass was long. It took about 7 weeks. I still have some issues with my order I'm trying to resolve from my senior, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt before I call him out too much on that. But it was an extremely long process that was a little bit frustrating. So, the Mega 5 EST bass. It's a fantastic little set. I like it. I like what it does. To me, it gives really good bass, really good texturing. Its mids are pretty good. I think they're almost perfect. I think it has good air. I think it's tuned very well, basically right where I'd want my preferences, and it scores very well. I think its technical prowess, having ESTs at a reasonable price, is something that I really, really enjoy. I think this is a really good value for those people that can get a hold of one. Again, I had to kind of blind trust that High Senior would get it to me, but I had almost impeccable channel matching, and so I was really impressed with how well it was balanced. Do I think it's the absolute thing that you have to go for? Not necessarily. I think there's a lot of other IEMs out there that could do really, really well for you. Some that are half the price or sometimes even less. It's something that I personally find a lot of great pleasure in, and I find a lot of great value in, and I think is one of the better tuned IEMs for the price. But again, it's not going to be for everybody. For me, the imaging on it is really good. Its detail is really good. It has really nice feeling and technicalities of what the things that it does, and I'm just overall impressed with what it says, and to me it earns the rank of S. Audio is a funny thing, and I learned a lot being on YouTube, doing some silly reviews about myself and about what other things that I like and what other things are good or bad. I really like this IEM. I think it's a solid set. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think anything's perfect. But I think it's something that, for me, that it works. I think understanding what your journey is and what you want from your music or from your playback is important. It doesn't always need to be expensive. I would love to say I could find something that sounds the same as this IEM for cheaper, maybe lighter, maybe a little bit of the exact design that I would like. Could be even better. So I appreciate you guys watching at the end. This has been a fun video for me to make, to kind of share this little custom IEM that I had done with you guys. Again, the order process was kind of a long time. You can order straight through High Senior Facebook. Just message them there and talk to them about what the process is. And it's been a good experience. I've enjoyed this IEM. I've not really done this before, but they got it exactly what I wanted, exactly as HBB has his graph on his squig, and I thought that was a super cool thing. Very pleased with my end product, and I think the sound of it is really good and really enjoyable. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below, and hope you guys have a great day.
You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?